just got back from a week at Unity Village. And Kay and I just got back from a week at Unity Village. So we're all full. And I want to bring that fullness to you. So what we're talking about this morning is on your mark, set, go. You notice that at every race, they don't say, go. They give people a chance to make sure they're where they're supposed to be, and then to get ready for what's next, and then to go. And that is a metaphysical lesson, absolutely. That is expressed in 12-step as the 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, action. And it's described in a lot of places. So here's the deal. You will have places in your life where you get hurt. It just happens. There's no way to avoid it unless you just die right after you're born, maybe. There's no way to avoid that. But there is a way to avoid what the Buddha called the second arrow. So the arrow pierces you, that's pain. It's a clean pain. Now, if you grab the arrow and stir it around and keep stabbing yourself with it and carry it with you everywhere you go, then that's the second arrow. That's you hurting yourself. And it is such a... If you spent your whole life learning not anything else except how to quit hurting yourself, your life would be truly, truly transformed. Because the things that happen to us tend to happen to us once, and then we call them to mind over and over and over again and work ourselves up about them. So, we can avoid the second arrow when we're willing to practice some spiritual tools. And here are the tools I want to talk to you about today. So on your mark, be aware of where you are. Where is your mark? You know, if you're working in film or TV, it's very important that you hit your mark. Because if you don't, or on stage, if you don't, you won't be in the light. And people won't be able to see you. You have to know where your mark is so you can be in the light. You have to know where your mark is so that you can be in the light. Think about that. I always think of, and I've used this metaphor before, but it makes so much sense to me. You know those signs in the mall that have all the stores laid out, and there's a big arrow that says, "You are here"? And when you know you are here, then you might know, okay, go forward, take the first right, go down 2 more, take a left, and then it'll be on your right. What if it said you are here, but you're really here? If you go down that hallway and take a right and then take 2 lefts, you will not end up where you think you're going. And that is a metaphor for life. If we don't know where we are, there's no way we can end up where we think we want to go, where we want to go. So, on your mark, be aware of where you actually are. Open your eyes. Question your storyline. Because there is where you are, and then there's the story you've told yourself about where you are. And we tend sometimes to listen to the story a little more strongly than we just look around and go, oh, it's actually here. He's a terrible person. He did this terrible thing to me, and I can never recover from that. That is your storyline. The actuality is, he said something very hurtful. Now I have choices to make. It really is that simple. Ain't saying it don't hurt. I'm not even saying it's easy. I'm just saying it's simple. And what's called for is rigorous self-honesty. You got to know when you're telling yourself a story. You got to know when you're telling yourself a lie. And that is a lifetime's worth of work. Because we were trained to tell the story. We were told the stories, and then we pick up the stories and we carry them on without even thinking about it. And the story might be, I'm a good person and he's a rat fink. Or it might be, he's a good person and I just don't know how to be in a relationship. Either one might be a lie. Question the story. Question a story. Open your eyes. And when you question the story, and you get some awareness of where you are, here's the next part. Get set. That's acceptance. When you get the awareness, sit with it. Allow yourself to truly feel what it feels like. And take a pause. Take a moment or a breath or 10 or a day or a week or a month before you respond. Because when we are responding to our storyline or responding to our hurt, then probably our response will not be very skillful. But if we take a moment to really absorb, oh yeah, he hurt me, he did. He said something that was very, very hurtful to me. So I'm aware that that happened. It feels really icky. Now, who do I want to be? Do I want to be a person who just spreads the ick back on other people? Or do I want to be a person who looks at, what is my part in the ick? Do I have a part? Did I in some way provoke? Have I taken on something that's not mine? Maybe he was given the ick, but the only reason I received the ick is because I already agreed, as Don Miguel would say. I already agreed with what he said. There was a part of me that was so afraid that that might be true about me, that as soon as he said that, it pierced me in a way that words from somebody else or about something else never could. I tell this story a lot. When I was about 10 years old, I remember going home. I was in 5th grade. I remember going home from my mom after playing kickball on the playground and saying, when they call me a dummy, it doesn't bother me because I know I'm smart. And when they call me ugly, it doesn't bother me too much because I don't think I'm ugly. But when they call me fatso, it hurts really bad because I'm fat. I said this as a 10-year-old. I look at pictures of me as a 10-year-old. I was not a fat kid, but I had taken that in. My brother called me that from birth, and so I took it on, and it eventually became a self-fulfilling prophecy in my life. But I've never forgotten that lesson. If I agree with what you say, then I take it into a deeper place and allow it to really hurt me. If I don't agree with what you say, that's sticks and stones, and I'm just not going to let it, I'm not going to take it in. I'm not going to take it in. So take a moment in this time of getting set to figure out, where am I in this? What is my part in this? What is a skillful way that I can respond? Because most people go from awareness to, I got to do something, like right on it. On your mark, go. Right? You need that moment of get set if you're going to respond skillfully. Now, we have all kinds of responses. But are they skillful responses? Habitual worldly tools might be deny. I'm real good at that. Deny. I'm not even noticing that this is going on. And then the day it finally breaks through my denial, I got to do something about this. Deny. Awareness. Pull back in, sit with it. The awareness feels very, very uncomfortable. That's why we want to do something. We don't want to feel it. We don't want to have the awareness of it. And yet, that's the only way we can ever respond skillfully. It's the only way we can ever look at ourselves deeply enough to go, wait a minute, the problem maybe isn't him. Yeah, he did say an ugly thing, but maybe the problem is that I took it in. And he can't do anything about that. And I can't wear a sign to the whole world. If you say this thing, it's going to trigger me. We're kind of trying to do that in our society today. You pick up a novel and it says, beware, here are the things that are going to happen that might trigger you. And on the one hand, I kind of appreciate that. But on the other hand, it's like, we are not responsible for not tripping anyone's trigger. We are responsible for removing our own triggers, or for taking care of ourselves in a way that when a triggering thing happens, we already have a sane response inside ourselves for ourselves advocating for ourselves. Other habitual tools are distraction. I'm just going to ignore that. Oblivion. I'm just going to ignore the whole thing. Addiction. That's a kind of distraction. I'm going to do this other thing because it feels good in this moment. It feels better than that feeling is, so I'm going to do the thing that feels good. And of course, the problem with addiction is you have to keep doing that thing that feels good because it only feels good for the instant. How much ice cream would you need to eat? Because it only ever lasts until you've swallowed the bite. That was good. Now you need more because that good feeling goes away as soon as you're not eating the ice cream anymore. But, at some point, we have to go, there's a reasonable amount of ice cream to eat, and there's an amount that's not reasonable. And so we react. We take polls among our friends. Don't you think that was awful? Did you hear what he said? He said it and it was awful. Did you hear what he said? Don't you think it's awful? We get consensus and then we feel strong. Yeah, I am right. And he is wrong. Now I know it for sure because people agree with me. And then we start building a case. Not only that, but he did this, and he did this, and he did this, and he did this. And I don't have to put up with that. Well, you're right. You don't have to put up with that. But revenge doesn't mean you're not putting up with it. Revenge means you're giving all your energy to it and creating more karma for yourself. And it can turn into violence, whether verbal violence or physical violence. Righteous indignation. That used to be my favorite emotion. Oh, I can remember when I was 11 years old and the movie And Justice for All came out, and Al Pacino's going, I'm out of order, you're out of order, this whole courtroom is out of order. And I wanted to say that to the whole world. I tried it a couple of times in my house. It did not fly. It did not fly. Oh, it feels so good to be right and to know for sure that they're wrong. It feels good in the moment, like ice cream feels good in the second that you're eating it. But then you need more. Then you need more. And just like ice cream, now you've eaten ice cream and you know it wasn't good for you, and maybe you're feeling guilty about it and you're adding to the burden. Now you've been right and you've told those people, because you are right, that they are wrong. And you might notice someday that when you get quiet, when you're out of the situation, it doesn't feel so good. You've been living in a place in your heart that doesn't feel that good. I would get on the phone and argue with customer service because I was right and they were wrong. And man, even no matter how right I was, and even if the problem got resolved to my satisfaction, I still had that energy in my body of yeah. Well, they've already agreed with me. It's already over, but I still have this energy in my body. Righteous indignation, which is about blame. It's about othering. They're doing it to me. They're not like me. They're different from me. It's about targeting. It's about isolating. I'm the only one that's right and the whole world is wrong. You ever feel like that? Sometimes it feels like that. I'm the only one that's right and the whole world is wrong. Well, all that does is make you alone. And if there was ever a time to not be alone, now is that time. So we get set, we accept, we breathe it in, we make some space around it. We grieve it if we need to. We feel the sorrow of it. We feel the anger. It's okay to feel anger. I'm not telling you not to get angry. Somebody does something, it's probably going to trip your anger. But then you don't have to take that anger and give it back again, because then you've started a cycle that is never ending. Just tossing anger back and forth. We all see that played out on the news. We see it played out on social media every single day. Every single day. And if somebody breaks the chain, then the chain is broken. You do it differently. You do a different thing, and suddenly you're not in the back and forth anymore. You just withdraw. You just don't fight. I will fight no more forever, you know? And the deal is, we can feel the anger without shoving it onto others and begin to realize this is my anger. It doesn't belong to them. It's my anger. It's in me. It's causing my heart rate to speed up. It's causing me to sweat. It's causing me to tighten my jaw. It's causing me to think obsessive thoughts. Did they do that to me? No, I got angry, and now I'm responsible for what I do with that anger. So I get to own my anger. This is my problem. What do I want to do with it? Yeah, and then we have the possibility of having some sane spiritual responses. That's the reason I mentioned this before. In Martin Luther King's Letters from a Birmingham Jail, he so beautifully outlined what you do if you want to take right action. And by the way, the Four Noble Truths of the Buddha were: in life there is suffering. The reason we suffer is because we hold on to things that change. The way out of suffering is to stop holding on to things that change and to follow the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Noble Eightfold Path is right view, pay attention, see what's really going on, right intention, get yourself set so that your intention is not to do harm back, but to solve the problem in some way or to take care of yourself in some way. And then right speech, which is about wisdom. It's allowing wisdom to speak through you. And then right action. First, we got to have the first three before we take the action. The Buddha said it. 12 Steps says it. I'm saying it. Martin Luther King said it. He said, if you want to take right action, first you got to know information. Is this really happening? Then you got to decide what can be done about it. And then go do it. Nope. And then purify yourself. And then go make sure that whatever action you are taking, you can take without hatred, without enmity, without being triggered, without having to fight back. Can you imagine how hard that was for these people to not fight back, to just sit in their truth while hoses were turned on them, while beaten, while taken to jail, while whatever? But he insisted, no, you have to be at that point. You have to go. How can I be in such a state of mind and heart that I don't have to respond in harmful ways, that I can stay peaceful? So the tools we want are the tools that open our hearts, the tools that make space, the tools that allow us to find joy and to grieve loss. I'm not saying grief has no place here. Sometimes there's a lot of hurt and there's a lot to grieve. So we allow ourselves to grieve because it's our grief. Putting it on them will never help us. It's our grief. We have to take care of it. Einstein said that a problem can never be solved at the level that the problem was created. You have to go to a higher place. And here's the deal. We have positive tools to use. We have a lot of positive tools to use. However, we can't use them until we are aware that we have a choice. We talk a lot in New Thought about it's a choice. You make a choice. You choose love or fear. That's simple. Not easy. First of all, you have to know what you're fearing and that you're fearing, right? And to know that your anger is fear, to know that your grief is fear, to know that everything that doesn't feel like love probably is fear. Grief is also love. I think it's both. Fear of what will I do with this loss, and love of I truly love what I've lost. Am I attached to it? That's the thing that has to be let go of at some point. But the love stays. The love stays. So we can't use the positive tools until we know that we have a choice. If you're not aware you have a choice, you're not making a choice. This is what I remind myself of over and over again when I see people acting out in horrible ways, in destructive ways, in ways that hurt people. I also recognize that those people are hurting themselves most deeply of all. And I recognize that they don't know they had a choice. They only know that if tit happens, tat has to happen. If there's an eye taken out, then I take your eye out. That's their logical choice. They've never been taught any other way. They don't even know it's a possibility. Until you know it's a possibility, you can't choose it. And so that awareness and taking a moment, and then that acceptance. The acceptance is the really taking a moment part. Awareness is tell the truth. Acceptance is take a moment. Really feel what the implications of all of that is. Really delve into where did this come from? And accept it as it is because it's reality. To do otherwise is to order from an imaginary menu, and then when you don't get what you want, attack the waiter for not bringing you what you never had the power to order in the first place. Are you the one ordering the universe? No, you're not. This is a sit-down dinner and you are being served. You get to decide what you do with it. You don't get to say, I want it this way. I want it this way. I want it this way. Because you just hurt yourself when you decide that you want it this way. I had a beautiful example this week of a dear friend of mine. I'm going to call her Karen. That's not her name. Who has been one of the organizers of this conference forever. And she had 2 partners, and one of them left because he moved to a foreign country. He was no longer available. And the truth is, he never really pulled his weight in the first place. And the idea of the possibility of him pulling his weight from a place that was 5,000 miles away and in a completely opposite time zone wasn't likely. And so they bought him out at a fair price with his agreement. And yet, all week long, I guess because he felt bad about not being there, he kept sending ugly texts. Well, I guess you're the queen of this now. Well, I guess you're enjoying yourself. Whew. And I watched my friend get hurt deeply by this. This is somebody she'd known 20 years and thought of as a friend. And the deal is, he didn't have the facts. He didn't have the facts. And when he got the facts, he apologized. Well, this is my friend's awareness, and then this point of acceptance, which is that when these notes were fired off to her, she resisted the urge to respond right back. Oh, yeah? Check your facts, buddy. And also, she didn't do that. She took the hurt in. She looked at what was her part and what was his part. She slept on it. She wrote a response. She called me and asked me to please read her response before she sent it so she could have another pair of eyes on it, somebody who wasn't quite as close to the situation and could hold it in a different way. And she set a boundary. I forgive you, and I can't unhear what you said. It's already been said. And so going forward, here is what I need. Yeah. That was a beautiful example of what we're talking about here. The awareness, then the acceptance. Here's where I am. Here's where I am. I don't want to not be friends with somebody I've been friends 20 years with, but here's where we are right now. What can be done about it? And then to really take a moment to make sure she was answering with a pure heart and answer. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to witness. It was beautiful to be a part of. That's what we can do when we use these tools. We can pause before our response and not have to create more karma. So actually what we're talking about here is the serenity prayer. Give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Every other human being in the whole world is what you cannot change. You may think you can, but you can't. You can request and they can deny, and then you're at a stalemate, right? It's okay to speak your need, but they don't have to say yes. So what are you going to do with the no? Now it's yours. What do you do with it? The serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. It takes courage to not respond back in kind and to take a moment and to listen to our higher self and respond from that place. And the wisdom to know the difference. That's the awareness. You got to know whether it's really yours or it's not yours. And if you don't take a moment to tell yourself the actual truth, you will never know. Do y'all know the Serenity Prayer? Let's say it together. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. On your mark, set, go. Let's take that into meditation. Let's take a moment to get into reality. You're sitting on a hard pew and being invited to make yourself comfortable. Take in a deep breath and do what you can to allow your body to relax. There may be some physical discomfort, but we don't have to add to it by tensing our jaw. By feeling angst about it. Just check in with yourself. Can I relax my eyes and my mouth, my jaw? Can I relax my shoulders? And breathe deeply so that my chest moves freely. Can I relax my abdomen so I can take in a truly deep breath? Can I relax my sitting muscles and those of my legs? Are my hands tight? Can I release them? Are my toes or my feet tight? Can I release them? And when you've relaxed all that you can relax, that right there is the courage to change the things you could change. And the pew is still what it is. It's hard, it's rigid, it's unyielding. Perhaps you know some people like that. Nothing you can do about its rigidity. But you can relax around it and not add to the discomfort. Each time we tell our story of woe or victimhood, we are re-injuring ourselves. Each time we share our story with the world, we are bringing that injury out into the energy of the universe and affecting other people. Every time we feel that injury and feel like the answer to that injury is to give injury in return, then we are really doing harm. And so simply telling the truth, yep, this is the way it is. I don't like it. I'm feeling resistant to it. So I'm going to sit here with it until there's some part of me that just releases and says, yep, it's the way it is. Nothing I can do about it. Or, as we sit with it, perhaps some wisdom tells us, yes, there is something I can do. I can sit differently. I can stand up. I can walk away. I can bring a pillow. I can support my back. All right, then. You get to do that. But attacking the guy that made the pew isn't going to get you anywhere. Nor is attacking the people in the church that just happen to provide these pews. What if nothing is anybody's fault? What if everyone is just doing the very best they can with the information they have? What if there was nothing to fight against except my own thoughts? And what if I decided to fight no more forever? To allow my thoughts to be as they are, to allow whatever feelings come up around the thoughts and to not act upon them. Or to turn the whole situation around by responding with love and with creativity, by responding with respect for myself and the other. Breathe that in. Let it loosen any tightness in your belly. It is possible. To respond to anything and everything with love. Not easy, perhaps, but the more you practice it, the easier it gets. And so we practice on the simple things. We practice on not resenting the pew. And perhaps we may progress to not resenting someone who lives in our house, maybe who gets on our nerves. Is the resentment itself harms us, adds another arrow to the place that it already hurts. And that arrow can be much more permanent. Once the first one is fully healed and out and away, we can keep that second arrow going forever. What if we decide, nope, I'm not going to do that anymore. I have a choice to make, and I choose to love myself enough to not be an unloving person in the world. The highest level of respect for self. And by all means, if there's something to be done, not at the level of the problem, but at the level of solution, then yes, get set. Take a pause, breathe into it. Know that it is right action. And then take the action.
It's not about being a victim. It's about refusing to victimize oneself anymore, ever again. It's about taking our power back over the things that we actually have power over and leaving the fight behind on the things that we don't have power over. On your mark. Tell the truth. Get set. Breathe. Pause. Allow the greater implications to occur, and allow the wisdom to rise up. And allow yourself to find the courage to do the not easy thing. And then when you know what that is, go with it. If you know that it's yours to do, there is no more powerful place to work from than that place of knowing. Go. Act. And then you are cooperating with the universe rather than fighting against it. Which sounds good, but especially when you know that fighting against it never, ever, ever has worked and never will. I will fight no more forever. And so it is. Amen.